Hello fashion lovers, on today's tutorial we're making this beautiful bubu with V-scrub neckline and bias tape detail. Let's get right into it. So this is the beautiful African print I'm using for this tutorial, and I have about 3 yards of fabric with me here. So you want to start by laying your fabric on fold of 4 as how we usually do. So I folded this in 4, that is 2 for the back and 2 for the front. And also I'm starting all of my measurement from this point. I'll start by marking my starting line, which is also the shoulder line. At this point I'll go in by half of my shoulder measurement divided by 2, of course that is half, and I'll take the sleeve length, how long I want the sleeve. So this is a cut together bubu dress, so we are not cutting the sleeve differently, we're cutting the sleeve with the neckline. So yeah, and then from this point I'm going to measure down 1.5 inches for the shoulder slope, and I'll make a mark right there. And then I'll go in by 3 inches for the neck width for the back and front. The back and front is going to have the same neck width, it's just a difference of neck depth. So I'm going to go in by 1.5 inches for the neck depth for the back. That is what I just finished marking. And for the front I'm using a neck depth of 8 inches. So I'm just going to connect the back neckline just like I'm doing right now, and then from this point I'm going to go in by 1 inch. I'll mark 1 inch from this point, and then I'll connect to the neckline. That is the front neckline, and the first is the back neckline. From that point I'm going to connect down to the shoulder slope. And then I'm just emphasizing on this is a cut together bubu dress. So next I'm going to measure out how wide I want my sleeves to be, and in this case I'm using the same length for the bust points, if you know what I mean. I'm marking my bust points, which will also serve as how wide I want the sleeves to be. So that is what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to connect this point together. This is the bust point, and it's also the sleeve width, how wide I want the sleeves to be. Next I'm going to mark the hip line or the hip point, and I'm just going to go in right there and repeat the same measurement at the other end of the fabric to have a straight line. I'm just going to connect these two lines together. Now on the bust line I'm just going to go in by quarter of the round bust measurement, that is the bust measurement divided by 4. As you can see I'm using my tape to divide it right here. You could use a calculator or anything. So I'll just go in and mark that, and I'll add 4 inches extra for the ease sewing and for it to have the bubu effect. And on the hip line I'm going to go in by quarter of the hip measurement, that is round hip measurement divided by 4, and I also mark 4 inches. Now I just took a measurement of the whole thing there on the hip line, and it's about 13 inches. So I'm extending it to the hemline, that 13 inches I have. But first I'll connect these two lines, the bust point to hip point first. and this edge here is too sharp. We don't want it like that, so I'll go out by 1 inch and make a curve right there. And now I can extend this same measurement I have on the hip line down to the hemline. So yeah, let's do that right away. So yeah, this is what I have right now. I've gone ahead to connect all of the points. So I'm just going to cut this out now. And remember to separate the back from the front after cutting out the back neckline. Now I'm just separating this. And I'll go ahead to cut the front neckline also. This is a preview of what your neckline should look like after this point. Now I'm gonna head to iron this band. I iron estate to them, and this is for the neckline. This is about, and this is for the sleeves, because I'm adding a band to the sleeves. And the width of the sleeves is 3 inches, and this is also a facing for the back neckline of the dress. Now for this neckline, the width is about 2.5 inches, and the length, I just made it about 3 inches longer than the neckline. So I'm just stitching this straight, and I will come down by about 1/2 inch from that point. I'll do same for the other side, also straight on it and come down by about 1/2 inch. Now remember, I'm placing this right side, facing right side on the fabric. My material is facing the right side right now, so I'll just sew this, leaving that 1/2 inch right there. Now before I take this to the sewing machine, I will want to pin this down first to avoid any movement. So I'll just go ahead and pin this down, and I'll go and sew it, and you see what it looks like afterwards. So guys, I'm gonna head to stitch this down. So this is what it's looking like right now. And remember the 1/2 inch we left earlier? I'm just going to make a notch down there. So you want to watch this carefully and see how I'm making this notch, at what angle. And remember, when you're making a notch, you're not supposed to reach the stitch itself. So yeah, I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the other side also. So this notch is going to like give this V effect. Next, we're going to turn this over. Now you want to watch this part carefully. You can see how I pick this up, and I'll turn it inwards like this, making sure the neck placard is facing down. I'll do same for the second one. I'll just insert it right there at that opening, and this is what yours should look like. And I'll just hold this part carefully and turn it over, and then you'll see that I have this excess here and a bit of the fabric So I'm just going to run a stitch about 1/2 inch right there, and I'll cut the excess. So this is what is given right now. I've gone ahead to do all of that, and I also gave this a good press, so you can see how it's laying flat. This is what yours should look like at this point. And then this is the tape or bias detail I will be using. This is about 6 yards, so if yours is bigger you could buy more, but this is the one I'm using. So I'm just going to measure from the hem about 14 inches. That is where I want to start applying that detailing. So yeah, I'm just going to mark 14 inches. And I'll connect this. That's what I'm doing right now. I'll connect this, and I'll give a space of about 1 inch. For the second line, remember in the inspo we have 2 stripes of this on the dress, so I'll give a gap, a space of 1 inch before I apply the second stripe. So that's what I'm doing. And at the edge, I'm going to leave out about 2 inches. So that is where I'll start sewing the bias tape, fabric tape, or whatever. That's where I'm going to start sewing it. And on this detailing, I'm going to leave out about 13 inches. Now this is up to you to decide how much of this bias tape you want to leave out, but I'm leaving out about 13 inches. And you see that place I marked right there, that 2 inches, that's where I'll start sewing it on. I'll do the same for this other side. So that means I'm cutting 4 of this, 2 for the front and 2 for the back side of the dress. So that is what I'm gonna head to do right now. Let's not forget, I'm making these markings on the right side of the fabric because the bias tape is facing the right side of the fabric. So yeah, now this is the back side of my dress. And I'll go ahead to also attach the band for the sleeve, and I'll also attach the facing for the back neckline also. And after that, I will run a stitch on the shoulder line. So this is what our dress is looking like right now. I'm gonna head to attach the 2 stripes of bias tape detailing. I've attached the band to the sleeves, and I've also joined it at the shoulders. So this is what is given. And the next thing to do is hem the side and also the hem, but I'm going to leave about 11 inches for a slit at the side, so my stitch at the side will stop at this 11 inches because of the slit. So I'm going to do that right away. And yeah, this is what we have at the end of the day. I've gone ahead to hem this, stitch the sides, and I left out the slit of about 11 inches. Thank you so much for watching. If you have watched to this point, thank you so much. And I also burned the edge of this bias material. And please subscribe, like, share, and comment. You can leave me a comment of what you want me to upload next on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.